However, I did make it clear that this board, it operates by open meetings law, and so we are required by law to operate in the public eye, and the public is supposed to have the opportunity to also weigh in those matters, and I want to make sure that we adhere to that as we should. And so for that reason, I'm going to read those questions. Oh yeah, I got them, sorry. So my first question is, does DHS have a specific mission or guideline for how the Fort Washington Armory is to be utilized and operated? 2, please provide copies of existing licenses. Of course, we don't have those today. For all occupants in the building, please provide information about the licenses, the space rentals, the unused space in the building, as well as their durations at the Fort Washington Armory.
Should we go through these one by one?
Well, we don't have a printout of them, so.
No, I mean, do you want to ask them?
Well, or whatever, however you want to do it. I mean, I think that, like, again, we received their questions, I think, at 5:08.
Yes.
So I had to leave at 5:30 to get up here, so.
Yes. I just wanted to state them for the record since we don't have the printouts. We have questions regarding any RFQ or RFP processes. Questions related to the utilities in the building. How are they managed, administered?
The city pays for them.
The city pays for them. The standard procedures at DHS for assessing the outcomes in that building. If there is a mission, if there was an intention for why that facility is set up the way that it is, then how do you assess the success rate of how it is servicing the community? Keep my glasses on. So, what is the arrangement that allows for the Fort Washington Armory to operate as Armory on the Hudson? In doing some of my research, I found that come up a lot of times, Armory on the Hudson. What is the current procedure in place for entities other than the current occupants to lease or license space at the Fort Washington Armory? We're interested in seeing the audits that have been done for occupants in the building. Are payments made for leasing or licensing space at the Fort Washington Armory listed in Checkbooks NYC? Was DHS aware that Victory Cafe applied to this community board for a liquor license at the Fort Washington Armory? And I'm happy that we actually have the chair of the licensing committee here so he can attest to those actions. What process is currently in place for current licenses to protect their due process rights, licensees to protect their due process rights with regards to continuation or termination of licenses?
So for that question, I can answer the last one. So in the licensing agreement, specifically, there's a specific clause that says either party can terminate this agreement in 30 days. So that's the final.
Understood. So that is the due process in your opinion. Okay, so I wanted to state it for the record so that our audience is aware of what all those things were that were proposed. But if you could speak to the broader picture, how that facility functions currently, what was the original mission of the building?
I mean, it's hard to say. So just a little bit of background in terms of armories in New York City. So DHS currently operates or is in charge of a number of armories in the city. There's the Fort Washington Armory. There is Pomoja House, which is in Bed-Stuy, which is an armory that we have a shelter on the website. There's the Fed Atlantic Armory, which is an assessment center, and then there is the armory there's an armory in Park Slope. I believe that those are all the armories that we have. The armory
that are operated by the city?
That are operated by DHS.
That are operated by
DHS. I don't know the history in terms of how those specific armories ultimately came. Well, those previously, the history is that those were used as sort of as straight up warehouses for people that were homeless. Oftentimes, the numbers certainly in the Fort Washington site, I believe at one point that number was there were 400 or 500 people that were sleeping there. And after after sort of litigation that came forth before the state, ultimately we were capped at 200 for the most part. In certain cases, there were clauses that were grand person. I don't want to say grandfather, but grand person in. So those are the armories. The Fort Washington. Yeah, sure. The Fort Washington Armory, as I understand it, was basically, was that space, and then originally there was